Hello, this is a video that's going to help you get started on your magazine redesign project in InDesign. And I just wanted to go over a few things that might be a little bit different than what you have been taught in the past. And this might be a little bit different in a couple of Professor Nelson's videos, but this is sort of the way that I would start a magazine design project or even an annual report or any element such as a brochure, magazine, booklet that's multiple pages, that has a lot of text and stuff. But I just wanted to show you a few things. So this is InDesign. This is sort of what will pop up when you first open InDesign. Obviously these are InDesign files that I have opened myself recently, but the first thing, and I haven't done this, but I should, and I'm going to do it right now with you guys. The first thing to do in InDesign is go to your preferences and go to units and increments. In some of my other videos I might have said, make sure you change your guides to inches. If you set it to inches before you have any InDesign documents open at all, so right when you're at this welcome window, and set your horizontal and vertical rulers to inches, from here on out, forever and ever, until you change it again, it will be set to inches. And that's how we work, so it's best to do that right away. The other thing I want you guys to go to is to go to composition. And this is going to affect how you set your magazine design layouts out, also how you might design or affect anything else that you might design. And you're going to click on text wrap only affects text beneath. This is something that you might not use too much, but if you turn this on, you'll never have to worry about it. And I'll tell you about that when I tell you about, flowing your text in and adding imagery and all that kind of stuff. So we're just going to hit OK. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to New File. And we're going to go to Print. You guys are setting up your magazines all the same size. In the real world, technically the magazines would all be different sizes, but we're just going to stay consistent. And it says that your magazine spread will be 10 3/4 by 18 when combined as a spread, but each page is 10 3/4 by 9 inches. So we're going to go to width as 9 inches, and we're going to go to the height as 10.75, which is 10 3/4. We do want to do facing pages because these are spreads. And then what you want to do is we're going to have 8 pages. So your article is going to have 6 pages. And then your cover and back cover is another 2 pages for a total of 8. So I'm going to put 8 here. What InDesign does is InDesign always starts page 1 on the right-hand side. There's nothing you can do that changes this. Odd pages are always on the right. Even pages are always on the left. So I always, if I don't want that weird, odd one page hanging out on the right, I will start my page number at page 2. And what that's going to do is that's going to keep all 4 of your spreads together. And then this is where we're going to kind of experiment. Part of your assignment for week 6 is going to be to come up with a few different grid options for your magazine. And I'm going to show you that now. So when you get to that, you can refer back to this. But you want to set all these things. These are all things you want to take into consideration and set right away. That way, you're not having to do math, you're not having to figure out how do I want my columns, how do I want my margins. So you should always set your bleed as 0.125. That's like a standard thing. And then we're going to go to columns. So you're doing a magazine design, you've done some research on magazines, and you've noticed that sometimes there are 2 columns, sometimes there are 3 columns. If you look at a newspaper, it's a bigger sheet, so sometimes there might be 5, 6, or 7. The more columns you have, the more flexible it is where you can place images and text and captions and stuff like that. So I want you to use at least a 3-column grid. But you might want to experiment with 3, with 4, with 5, with 6, and I'll show you sort of the pros and cons for each one of those. But right now we're just going to set, let's start with 3. So we're going to set 3 columns. And then our margins, this is what I want you to think about when you look at books or magazines, right? So you have top margin, bottom margin, inside margin, outside margin. So the top margin usually is, you don't really have to think about that too much. There's not really a lot that's up there. I'm going to leave that at 0.5. My bottom margin, though, I might want this to have a little bit more room to account for page numbers. And you notice these are locked, so I'm going to go ahead and unlock that. I'm going to make my bottom margin bigger. That way I can put my page numbers at the bottom and not have to worry about that interrupting the text. Inside, so this margin, if you think about a magazine, you've got that sort of glue holding it all together. So there's a weird kind of gutter in there that you definitely want to not, have text running over it or anything. But I usually will give a little bit more room on the inside. And the outside, I'm just going to leave at 0.5 inches. So once I hit create, you can see that I have my pages. So these pages will be your back cover, front cover, again, front cover here, back cover here, and then your feature opener spread, and then the other 2 pages of your feature opener, and that has 3 columns. And this is one grid that you can do. And you'll save your file, InDesign, based on the requirements, your name, project 2, you can, project 2 grid, or grid 1, grid 2. So this is one grid. And then now what I want to do is I've seen this, I kind of like it, I think it's okay. I'm going to try a different grid structure. So you can start over by just going to File, New again, or if you go ahead and click on your master pages, so anything, or parent, it's called parent now, anything you change on the parent page is going to change all these pages. If I just select these 2 pages in my pages panel and make changes, it's only going to make changes on these 2 pages. So I'm going to go back up to my parent page. I'm going to click both of those, and then I'm going to go to my layout, margins, and columns. So in this case, I'm going to see what 4 columns look like, and you can kind of see it's happening in real time. And then say you want a bigger top margin, and maybe you want a little bit more room on the outside as well, and maybe or less, maybe you want less. We'll do less on the outside to give you a little bit more room for text, but we're going to keep the inside. Let's make the inside a little bit bigger. We'll keep the inside and the bottom the same, but you have 4 columns here. So I'm going to hit OK, and then you'll notice that all of your pages in that has changed. So that's a 4-column grid. And then let's say we're going to do one more grid, and we'll do a save as, save this as grid 2, and then we're going to do one more where we experiment with 5. And this is really part of the what you'll turn in for week 6 sketches and sort of a few different grid options. So I'm going to go ahead and click both my parent pages, and I'm going to go to layout, margins, and columns, and I'm going to do 5. And let's say for this one, for this one, I'm going to try maybe a smaller, more room on the top, and maybe on the outside. I'm going to go back to 0.5, and I think that looks good. And I'm going to hit OK. And then you'll see all of our grids have changed to 5-column grids. Another thing you can do on your master pages is you can set up guides, and this could be for your page numbers, it could be for headlines, it could kind of be for anything you want. But if you want a guide that's always on all the pages, so say if you have your text, and maybe in some cases, like say you want your page number to have a guide. So if I set this at 10.5, let's go up a little further, 10.375. That guide now will show up on all of my pages because I have it on my parent page. So I'm going to go back up to my parent page, and maybe you want to have another guide at the top here. You can just do one page or this page, or you can have it go along both pages. Say you want another guide set for some reason. And again, this can totally change because you're going to change this once you get your text and images and stuff in here. So that could be another line that is on all of your pages. So while I want you to set up your columns this way, with the vertical columns, and what's nice about setting up columns this way is when you hit W, everything goes away, so you won't have to see that necessarily. And I would name this grid 3, but this is really all we need for that part. You're just kind of starting to think about how you want to set up your magazine, and you can emulate what the current magazine that you're designing for has, but you can also experiment with a couple different layouts too. So this is just kind of a little thing to sort of get you started, and I'm going to have a more detailed video on flowing your text, adding imagery, and all that kind of stuff in a future video.